Hi, everyone. I'm Anne. I'm a compulsive overeater. My abstinence date is August 5th, 2017. Just like you, I weigh and measure 3 meals a day off the wonderful, amazing, incredible Gray Sheet. I commit my food to my sponsor every night and I eat what I commit. My highest weight was 320 pounds, and at my last weigh-in, I've lost 180 pounds. So I consider myself a miracle. All right, so I've got my mantra out of the way. I just want to let you know that I became a compulsive overeater at the age of 9, and I'm now 62. So that's over 50 years of being a hardcore compulsive overeater. Um, as a little kid, I had to wear clothes from the husky section at Sears, and my parents always made me keep my hair cut short because it was easier to take care of, at least for them. And I growing up as an overweight child back in the 70s was very, very difficult. I was always picked last for teams. I was joked about. People would make jokes as I walked by. Even in high school, the football team would bark at me as I walked by. Um, I've told this story before, but there was this kid in my fourth grade class, and luckily I can't remember his name. So that's good. That's always good when you have sort of like a resentment against somebody. But he would always call me Mama Cass because Mama Cass was so popular at that time. And of course, she had her own weight problems as well. But I came home one day after just being kind of brutalized the entire day over my weight. And I told my mom what had happened and how there's this guy that always calls me Mama Cass. And she said, next time he does that, and he probably will because people tend to repeat their behaviors, um, here's an idea. And she gave me an idea. Sure enough, the very next day, this guy calls me Mama Cass, and I did what my mother told me to do. And I said, if I'm Mama Cass, you're a jackass. And for the first time, they were laughing at him and not me. I don't know if that was the kind and loving thing to do in a situation like that, but it did stop him calling me Mama Cass. Um, there were other times when kids in school would make fun of me and they would keep going and going and going. And the teacher would do nothing to stop it. And I always wondered if the teachers were complicit in their, disgust for overweight people. I'll never really know. But the other thing that happened, which was kind of a weird teacher thing too, that I don't know if they would have done in this day and age, but by far I was the heaviest a child in school. So when I was in the third grade, the teacher asked me if I would be willing to play Santa Claus in the school play. And I said, sure, no problem, because I always wanted to act, but, I would show up for whatever and they'd always make me do the scenery. So, so I decided to be the best Santa Claus I could be. And I was. I think I did a really good job, and I even made my costume. And of course, I had to make a costume because no other costumes would probably fit me. So so I was kind of like embarrassed and a little bit awkward feeling the next day because, of course, all the kids in my class said, "Ho, ho, ho, there's Santa Claus coming in now." But what was really cool is the kindergartners who I had been tutoring after school in learning how to read just as a volunteer, they somehow recognized me or got the word out. And they were just excited that their tutor was actually Santa Claus. And after that, I would be on the playground and there'd be a little kindergartner and she's like, "Hi, it's so good to see you." And that made me feel really, really good. And, I think that was probably my first service commitment, as far as tutoring to little kids after school. Um, and I stayed in service, all the way. What happened to me was I was a long-term Weight Watcher member, even when I was a little girl, because they wouldn't officially let you join until you were age 12. So finally, at age 12, I became an official Weight Watchers member. And I met a girl there who was in college at the time, and we became fast friends. And so, to make a long story short, with Weight Watchers, my goal weight at the time was 128 pounds. And I was there for a total of 2 weeks at that weight because the third week, they let you add additional calories to your program, in addition to all of the breakfast, lunch, and dinner stuff that you can have. In addition to that, you can pick something that's 150 calories off this list. And on the list was something that was brown and square and tasted really good to me. And so it's so, in hindsight, I look back and it's like, I wish I knew then what I knew now. And that is that a compulsive overeater cannot eat just one inch by 1 inch square brown thing and stop. And that's what happened. And somebody had told me, "Oh, it's really easy. Buy the frozen kind, and you can weigh it out and put it in separate baggies, and that will keep you from eating the entire pan." Well, that didn't work either. So, but still, I had no idea that I was allergic to certain foods that would keep me eating for hours. So, I, in the meantime, before what happened, I continued to do Weight Watchers. I did Nutrisystem. I did the
8 minutes.
thank you, the Palm Beach diet, the Atkins diet. I did all of this, and I would succeed for a little bit and lose weight, but then always I would gain it right back. So I was going to Weight Watchers still when I was in college. And my friend who I had met at Weight Watchers, she was now a Weight Watchers lecturer. And in Weight Watchers, they give you a range of weight that you must stay in order to be a lecturer. And she kept gaining weight and getting suspended from work. And because she was a true compulsive overeater too. And so one time she came back from being suspended and she looked great. And I'm like, you know, what are you doing? You look fantastic. And she said, I can't tell you right now. It would be a conflict of interest. Here's my phone number and call me tonight. So I did. And she took me to my first OA meeting, and that was June 22nd, 1990. And I felt instantly right at home. There was a guy named Daryl who talked about how when he was an overweight little kid, you would pass your annual around, and you know all the other normal kids would get "have a great summer," or "it was nice being in class with you," or whatever. I would get mine back, and there were maybe one or two nice comments, but pretty much all the rest were mean, or even worse, they were anonymous and said terrible things about me. And when Daryl shared that night, I was like stunned. And it was, I always thought I was terminally unique, that these painful things only happen to me. But here was somebody, talking out loud in front of like at least 20 people telling that story. So I kept coming back, and I was abstinent in OA for 12 years. And then all of a sudden, after I had my first child, I couldn't stay abstinent for the life of me. And so I went back out, and I was kind of fighting all the beasts in the jungle for a good long time. And then in October of 2006, I ended up having bariatric surgery. And with that, I lost 120 pounds in about 6 months, I would say. And the only reason why I did bariatric surgery was because the all of my health issues were so bad. By now, I was up to 320 pounds, and I had high blood pressure. I had pre-diabetes. My joints just
Few
ached.
minutes.
Okay, thank you. And so anyway, I had bariatric surgery, but it didn't work because in about 4 years, I gained all but 20 pounds back. So the thing is they operated on my stomach and not my head. So eventually, my same friend who I met at Weight Watchers that brought me to OA brought me to Gray Sheet, and the rest is history. It did take me 2 years to become long-term abstinent. So day counters, keep doing what you're doing, because it took me 2 years to achieve long-term abstinence. The other thing is I have asthma, and at times during the year, I have to take high doses of prednisone in order to breathe and not have an asthma attack. Well, that slowed down my weight loss just terribly. And I was either maintaining or losing weight. And after probably about 4 years, I was still over 200 pounds. And my own sponsors asked me, "Are you really abstinent?" And there were other people in the program too that would ask me that. And I'm like, "Yes." And they're like, "Well, then why are you so large?" And I said, "I can only assume it's the prednisone that I'm taking for my asthma." Luckily, my asthma ended up going into remission after I stopped working, cleaning out my sister's horrible house when she passed away. And the weight just dropped. And so even in the last couple of years, I have probably lost another 60 pounds. So the lesson is stay abstinent and let God take care of the results. And it takes as long as it takes. Every body is totally different. So
Okay.
you're looking at, thank you, you're looking at someone where it took well over 7 years to get to 140 pounds, but I did. And I kept going to meetings just like this one. And that's all the time I have to say. I could talk long, a lot longer than I did, but I love all of you. I see so many friendly faces, and thanks for letting me speak, and don't eat no matter what.